Okay, hello and welcome to the Digital Toolkit. We have 5 experts today on the session for you to ask your questions. So welcome to everyone who's just joined us. I believe we have Jane, Kite Consulting and Altitude Business Solutions. So welcome. We do have a few things to discuss around the future of business technologies, but please feel free to pop your questions in the chat and we will answer them as they come in. Please welcome everyone. We'll start with Di, then go with Joel and Alex, Amanda, Andrea and Trevor to introduce themselves. So I'm Katrina Paranik from Ranking Australia, by the way, guys, and I'm a web presence specialist. And now I will hand over to Di.
Hello everyone, I'm Di Crome from Wildfire Business Consulting. So I'm a business coach and a champion for good mental health in the workplace. So I help small business owners transform their business models so they can have more money, meaning and good mental health.
Thank you, Di. Joel and Alex?
You can do the intro this week.
Yeah, you do. Fair enough. So you're speaking with Joel and Alex from Encord Software. Our product is a website and digital marketing platform. It takes all the tools that you need to run a professional online presence in one nicely thought out, secure platform. People use our software to run website, email campaigns, and everything to do with their digital presence.
Amanda Lowry from MFL Creative. I'm a brand strategist, helping businesses to establish solid brand foundations, which ultimately provide clarity and focus around their business.
Hey everybody, Andrea Anderson, Chief Ideas Specialist for Your Marketing Machines. We are a marketing agency that primarily focuses on taking businesses from being good to being freaking amazing.
Love you, Andrea. What does the MFL stand for, Amanda?
It actually stands for MediFreight Logistics. It's sort of like a rework of a pre-existing company name.
Okay, cool.
Over to you, Trevor.
Oh, me. Okay. Thanks, guys. My name's Trevor Russell. Well, you know, there's a lot of businesses who ultimately actually want to make sales and money. What I decided to do over the last few years is really specialize in helping people develop an end-to-end system around skills and processes so that they can more confidently achieve their sales goals by knowing how to think and merge marketing with modern, authentic selling skills and give them the tools and skills to do that, and they can make their business work more profitably and successfully. So the whole thing is sales revenue and the systems and tools to support them to do.
Thanks, Trevor. I
like chocolate.
I'm just letting everyone know we should be muted unless we're actually talking. So just letting everyone know that if I muted you, that's why. So that we've got no background noise as we are all working from home. That's going to be a common occurrence for a lot of people. So without further ado, we will step into the digital toolkit. So just letting you know that it is a weekly event. So basically 5 or more digital experts will be online for you every week, every Wednesday, to ask any questions around technology, anything digital for your website, marketing, general business planning, management, anything, sales, you name it. So as we are all having to make the transition to online business processes during this crisis, it helps to have experts on hand who can provide that little bit of guidance and possibly even help you implement some massive transitional changes for your business. So without further ado, we'll get started. So who do we have involved in the panel? So we've got everyone who is here today. So we've got Amanda Lowry. We have Andrea Anderson from Your Marketing Machines. We have Joel and Alex from Encord in Brisbane. We also have Trevor Russell from the Results Academy and Di Crome from Wildfire Business Consulting. I got it right this time, Di, yay. Okay, so, and of course myself from Ranking Australia. So I'm hoping everyone's got a cuppa or a cold drink. It is going to warm up later on in the week, so get comfy because we've got a lot of juicy stuff to get through. Now, if we've got any questions already, please pop them in the chat and we'll address them as we go through. But I thought we might look at the major digital challenges for small businesses as we progress through 2020 and into the future of business technologies for all of us. So we've got 4 major, I just realized that I'm not showing my screen. Forgive me, I will update that. Okay, so just to get started and to remind everyone, this is being recorded and it will be published to our pages as well for later viewing. Now, the digital challenges for us today, we've got organisational resistance to change. So I'm going to hand this one to Di to start with, because I think she would be a fantastic provider and expert advice for businesses looking at the mindset for changing in these times. So Di, would you like to jump in on that one?
Great, thanks Katrina. Yeah, this is something that's close to my heart, I guess, because I've had periods in my life where I've been quite resistant to changes that have been going on both professionally and personally, and I've done a lot of my own inner work around mindset and that sort of thing in relation to this. And there's a really good quote that comes out from an organisation I've worked with, actually, Change 2020, and they talk about embracing ambiguity. So a lot of us run away from things that are not familiar to us. Whereas now these days it's more that I sort of lean into the fear and the ambiguity that's going on around us. And I think a really important thing in times like this at the moment, where everything's kind of up in the air, is to allow yourself and your staff to be vulnerable. And a lot of people look at vulnerability as a weakness, but I've come to see it as an absolute strength. And every time I've opened up myself to someone, you know, if I'm going through something or the world's changing around me, it's almost like that gives the other person permission to open up to me. And what happens then is the level of your intimacy in your relationship deepens. So every time you open up to someone and they open up to you, you get a much deeper relationship, and then together you can handle the changes that are being thrown at you. The other thing is around trust. So it's really important when the world around us is in absolute chaos that we can trust ourselves, and we can also trust people around us, whether they're our leaders or whether they're our team members. And Brené Brown discovered in her years of research that one of the key things around engendering trust is actually asking for help. And so that's for leaders to encourage their team members to ask for help, but also to walk the talk, and for leaders to sort of put their hand up and admit that, yes, they're in fact vulnerable and they need help as well. Thanks, Katrina.
Thanks, Di. Welcome, Sheldon. I will pass it over to Trevor, I believe, just now, to add a little bit of extra onto the aspect of organisations actually changing in relation to technology?
Yeah, thanks, Katrina. It's interesting and thanks so much, Di. I think what Di shared just then is so on the money, because really, for any of us who have been around for a little while and have any understanding of psychology, when we are, I don't know if anyone can feel it, well, I'm sure you can, but when we can't at the moment make big decisions and create a whole lot of stuff at the moment, if people are struggling with that, it's because we're in this place of urgent and important, and the brain can really only cope with the basics. So, if we're talking about organizational resistance to change from a technology perspective, working with a lot of people that we find that there's always been a need for them to embrace more technology in relation to whether it's more video online, whether it's to create extended products beyond what they're currently doing. My sharing would be, which is what I'm trying to do at the moment, is actually try and utilize this time that we've been given to really embrace technology and actually have a look at it and see what is it that we could now build in this time that we might have either found a lot of excuses in the past where we're like, oh, we don't have time to do that and we're too busy. And now really it's like, well, guys, maybe we don't have those excuses to fall back on. Now we can start researching different platforms. Maybe this is the time to integrate the CRM. Maybe this is the time to go and speak to the Joels of the world and say, hey guys, or Katrina, or all of us are in different ways. But I think the exciting thing for this period is the opportunity to let go of the resistance and actually say, well, what can we utilize this time? And if it is about integrating technology and looking at that, I think, I would want to look back on this time and think, well, I actually, in the midst of all of it, I got to upgrade my website. I got to get my training on Udemy. I got to build a new program. So we got some value out of it, actually, is what I'd be sharing at the moment. Yeah.
Thanks, Trevor. So just to kind of recap, and thanks, Di and Trevor, for your insight on that. It's very much coming back to the mindset of the leaders of the business, for sure, and seeing how we can boost our business with the different technologies that are available. I'm going to take a bit of a jump here and talk about ineffective gathering and leveraging of customer data. So I think understanding what data we need helps inform that customer journey. So I'm going to hand it over to Andrea Anderson to discuss how, or I guess the challenges around gathering that data for your business and how people are not necessarily doing it correctly for their business or their industry, for example, and how they can take that into the future for 2020, 2021, and improve their business online. Over to you, Andrea.
Yeah, thanks for that, Katrina. And thanks once again for allowing me to be a part of this fantastic group of experts. Definitely, we've got a big issue here at the moment, and the biggest issue for a lot of people is that they are endeavouring to make normal decisions within an incredibly abnormal situation. This is like, if you can visualize having a tsunami, an earthquake, tornadoes hit all at the same time, and we've never experienced any of those things ever before. Okay, so we're in a situation where it is absolutely about change, and the biggest question I think for a lot of people, in particular around data, and that is, what data is actually important to me now? What was important a month ago or 2 months ago when we were working in a normal environment is completely different from what it is now. And that's just how quickly our situation is changing. I mean, if I look at the fact that most businesses you will find are going to be in 3 modes, if I can just say this, and this might actually then lead into the power of data. The 3 modes that we're currently in right now is freeze mode. Freeze mode is essentially where we're like the deer in the headlights. We're like, what the heck is going on? And what am I doing? Right? So that's that. Stop, take stock, and look at what have I actually got here? You know, do I still have a business? Do I still have something to market and to sell? What am I doing? My database is no longer relevant because the industry that I was servicing no longer exists in its current situation. So you're going to find that some people are going to be in that freeze mode where they're hankering in for the time being, they're taking time out, and they're just really looking at, well, what's my current situation? And it's okay to be in freeze mode. Like I said, there are very few people on this planet who have experienced anything as severe as this and survived it. So, you know, if you're in the freeze mode, folks, then look, feel free to just sit there and just take stock of where you're at. Because if you've been collecting data and you're in freeze mode, then you're actually on a winner. I just want to say you've actually got an asset that's actually viable and leverageable for your future business growth in different areas. Phase number 2 that some of our business clients are in, and that is fight mode. Fight mode is where they have done stock, they've realized that the stimulus packages aren't going to support them. And really, the only option they've got is to keep the doors open and to keep selling. Now, the interesting thing is that they are in a state where I know that I've got assets. I know that there are things that I can leverage. I might need to shift my market. I might need to change the way that I'm looking at my business, but I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight for my survival, and I'm ready to fight beyond coronavirus. So the way that they look at data collection going forward is going to be very, very different. Then the third phase that we're currently in, that some of our businesses are experiencing, and that is called flight mode. Flight mode is where they've done the stock, they've realized, you know what? I can actually make this work. I understand that I've got a business that has got products and services to sell. I understand the assets that I've got to leverage from, whether it's I've got a website, I've got a database, I've got a Facebook page that's got a couple of hundred people in it. I'm able to communicate in forums like this. So look, I know that I can pivot and I can shift the way that my business is going to be directing. And they're now ready to fly. They're now ready to look at the opportunities coming up in the future and confidently be able to go forward and collaborate in doing so. So the way that they're going to collect data is going to be different. And the first thing we've got to identify with our business clients, and that is, what mode are you currently in right now? Because any one of those modes is okay. Right? So it's first and foremost understanding, where am I at right now in my mind shift? Because really that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about, am I okay with this current situation? Yes or no? And if you're in freeze mode and you're like, I'm not really comfortable with this situation, great. Then let's just resonate on what that looks like, and let's have a look at what potential assets you've got. If you've got a database, fantastic. What condition is that database in? And is there the opportunity for us to be able to even just send an email just to say, hi, I hope you're okay. I'm here. Feel free to come and talk to me. If you're confident in communicating through Facebook, fantastic. Maybe there's an opportunity there for you to be able to data and be able to pull in additional data. If you're in a fight mode, same rules apply. Except now you've got a bit of energy and a bit of confidence about your situation, and you're willing to fight your way out of the situation. Now, if you look at a lot of our businesses that have really been impacted in today's environment, you're talking about things where travel industry is almost completely gone, right? It's going to be 12 months before anybody seriously looks at traveling extensively the way that we used to travel, if not longer. So travel industries. I've actually, funnily enough, got a client I'm working with at the moment who is a travel agent, and she is beside herself. And I said, well, you've got a database of people, haven't you? She goes, yeah, I have. I said, great. You've got knowledge about the industry. She goes, yeah, I have. I said, fantastic. Let's shift you and take that data you've currently got and let's use it in a different way from how you've been using it in the past. I've got another client who's in the pest control industry. She's been going for 40 years, and we did a data analysis, broke down her database, went through it, showed her visual representation of where her audience is within the Greater Brisbane region. And the first thing she said to me was, Andrea, I see I've got some white gaps there in places in Brisbane. How do I get into those places? And I'm like, fantastic. So she's ready for flight. She's ready to go. She's realized, I've been here, I've survived floods, I've survived droughts, I'm ready to go. So when we're looking at data collection and what do we do with that data, we've got to first understand what space, what mode people are currently in. Flight mode, they're hot, they're eager, they're ready to go, they see opportunities and they want the solutions to get there. Fight mode, they understand they've got something, they know they've got to do something, they're not sure what, slightly different motivation level. Freeze mode, they're in, I've just got to figure out what the heck I'm doing first and foremost before I make a decision. Confidence mode. So that would be my, when I'm looking at data and the way that we are collecting data today, we need to first understand where they're at to then be able to provide that right solution, that right strategy, because not every strategy is going to work. Just in closing, one of the things that we've done is we've got new technology coming in to assist the restaurant and hospitality sector, because we know that that's one of the other industries that's been really hit, and we're looking at the use of messenger marketing. So we've got technology there and around messenger marketing that we're hoping will, number one, provide the ability to database build for takeaways and restaurants, because we know how shocking they are in collecting data, as well as be a way to let people know that they're still open and ready to serve.
Thanks, Andrea. I'm just going to pop in there that OnCord has an amazing system there for managing your customer data, including utilizing automation, email marketing, SMS and messaging that Andrea was just talking about. But I'm going to pop it over to Trevor. I believe he has something to add on this.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. And I just wanted to build on that around the use of data actually emerging in the resistance to change, because as Guy shared in the beginning, God love us Australians, but my experience is most will go to the grave broke before they'll actually ask us for help. So one of the things that I think this is a great opportunity for us is, if you are sitting on, as Andrea said, well, all of us, we've all got either our time that we can sell or a product that we can sell or both or whatever it is. My recommendation is, what I'm in the process of doing is reaching out to my community and database and saying, how can I help you? I'm here. I could help you with this, this, and this. No cost, no obligation. I'm just here to reach out, because as we all know as consultants and trainers and coaches and advisors, is very often we have to go to the marketplace and kind of shake them and say, we're here. And then they go, oh, okay, I'll get your help. So really, this, if anyone's listening to this at any point, if you're going to lower any resistance in this opportunity, this time, and make it an opportunity, would be lowering your resistance to ask for help. Lowering your resistance to reach out and say, hey, you know what? Tell me what to do. You know, that guy I told you about earlier, Andrea, he's got a beautiful business called PsychWire. They specialize in all things psychology. And I'm thinking the other day, I was in freeze mode. I was like, are people buying? Is the sky caving in? Are people spending money? So I thought, who can I reach out to? And he popped into my mind. And I reached out to him and I said, are people buying? He said, our sales are up 50%. He said, they're looking for discounts. We are in the right market because we're in that whole psychology space. But what I got from overcoming my resistance to asking for help was firstly, okay, the economy still exists. People are actually still spending money. And then secondly, we talked about, following on from Andrew, is what can I do with my data to reach out and even maintain some sort of engagement, if nothing else, just to keep us sane instead of waiting for things to get better. So that's what I wanted to share on that, Katrina. But yeah, thank you.
Hey, look, Trevor, I 1000% agree with you. And this is where I feel we're actually in quite a privileged position, because we have that opportunity to assess rather quickly whether we're in freeze, fight or flight mode. And more than likely, we've experienced something very similar. And that's where a lot of it comes from. My business has gone through the roof at the moment, because I've got people coming out of the woodwork going, okay, Andrea, I know I need to do something. So they've done the freeze mode. They're coming out of freeze mode. They're going, okay, Andrea, what do I do? I know the stimulus package isn't going to cover me. I'm stuffed if I rely on that. What can I do, and where can I go? And that's the exciting thing. And I feel that as I guess business leaders in our own right, within our own businesses, we essentially need to be the ones going out to market going, we are here, we're here to serve, we're here to assist you to move forward, because when the time is right for that person, then they'll know with confidence to come to any one of us, because why? We've said we're still here, our doors are still open, we're ready to serve. Look, we've met the market financially as well. We've significantly reduced our pricing. So I'm on a bank diet right now, but the cool thing is that we've got to keep the economy going, and this is where we're in a very fortunate position individually to be self-empowered and then have the ability to empower others when they're at that point to go, I've got a little bit of money, where do I go with that money? What's the best way for me to spend that money, Andrea? And I go, fantastic. And that's when I find myself kicking in, and I'm probably 10 times more excited because they've finally made that decision to come through and they're coming to me. So I take it as a personal commitment now, because we are in a situation where we've got to get the best bang for buck right now.
Thanks, Andrea. Just wanting to move on to the customer journey and actually catching the data. What a lot of businesses don't understand, or I guess understand the motives of each step of the journey of catching the data, and taking them from no one to your number one customer, for example. What is it you actually need to do? Now, I'm passing it over to the boys at Encord, so Joel and Alex, because they're continuing every day to help businesses implement the data capture technologies. So I'm curious to know, we just lost them. Hopefully they're jumping back in. I might... Oh, there we are. They're back.
No, we're here. I think we just disappeared from your screen.
Oh, okay. No worries. Sorry. But yeah, I'd like to know where that's going to be heading in next, say, 6 to 12 months. Like, is there any new additions into that process that you have at Encord? Like, what are the exciting new ways to catch customer data using your system?
I mean, the technology's been there for a long time. We haven't really had to develop a whole lot more. I think, like, has everyone seen that? There's a meme going around and it's like a graph and it says, what drove digital change in your business? And it's like CEO, CTO, COVID-19. And of course, like COVID-19 is the one with all the answers on it. So look, the technology I don't think needs to change too much. I think the customer journey, I think it's quite important to think about. And there's a lesson in all of this with Zoom. The application that we're actually using to run this meeting, and I think everyone around the world is using it. If you'd told me 10, 15 years ago that a product would come along and you essentially pay, $20, $30 a month to use it as a business, and it was a video conferencing screen sharing tool, I would have said that would never work in a million years. Skype is free. Everyone loves it. It's an incumbent player. This is the worst business you could possibly run. And now I haven't heard the word Skype in a really long time. Everyone's on Zoom. University classes are being held on Zoom. We're doing this on Zoom. The thought that we'd do it in Skype or anything different is, it's just, it's not even an afterthought. So I think that's a really amazing story about the customer journey, because the reason we're all using Zoom is because it is so easy to just get started and get on with it. You send someone a link and they just pop open that link, and then there's a video call and it's just running. You don't have to set up an account. You don't have to have a situation where you're linking with someone's existing account. You don't have to add anybody. You don't have to do all this stuff. There's not a lot of rigmarole into getting started on Zoom. So they've done the impossible thing, which is like, if especially in the software world, the rules are like, you don't go up against a free product. You don't go up against someone with a huge budget. And obviously Skype is owned by Microsoft and basically has an unlimited budget. You don't go try and bring a monetized version of a free product that is already beloved. It's basically meant to be impossible. And Zoom has gone and done that and won overwhelmingly. And it's just because it's a little bit easier to get started and to get using Zoom. And I think there's a lot of businesses out there that could probably take a lesson from that, including us. Like we think about that all the time. It's like, well, how do we make the easiest possible, iteration of our product that's easy for people to get on board and start using? There's surveys that I've seen where they say that 70% of people prefer a self-service solution that they can access themselves rather than having to speak to someone in most products, even if the self-service solution is inferior. So someone who is delivering an inferior product or service to you might be getting the majority of your customers, even though it's worse just because it's easier to use or self-service. What does that mean for the majority of the businesses that we talk to and that are probably listening today who are service industries? Is that we need to think of ways to make it easier to use those products and services. We've seen a rise recently, especially on our platform, of accounting firms, law firms, things like companies like that, who are offering advice packages that you can download. So, accounting firms literally creating ebooks that explain, and I hate ebooks personally, but like and basically an information book that explains, okay, here are all the incentives that are available for your situation. We create different iterations of this book. You tick the items that apply to you on your website, and we're going to send you a tailored package automatically that explains all the different things you could be doing, different incentives you could be applying for. That's a really good idea. And that is making your business self-service in a way. It's monetizing your knowledge, the data you have, and it makes the customer journey so much more seamless and smooth than if it was a situation of you try and ring us, we have a conversation with you, we might bill for that, we might not, you might not speak to the right person, we'll call you back, we'll have to organize a meeting. There's so many barriers being taken away by making it self-service. So I think there's a lot of lessons in all of this for the customer journey. I mean, we've been kind of thinking about it and talking about it before all of this started, and I think a lot of businesses have as well. It is sad to see that this is the thing that's driving the change, but I mean, I guess that's always the way, right?
I think
So,
that
just wanting to jump in there. Thanks, guys. And so true. The use of different platforms has definitely changed. We've come away from Skype, and Zoom is definitely in the forefront for a lot of people. I think that comes down to ease of use for customers. So not having to necessarily do anything, just click on a link, so to speak, to join in. I'm going to pass it over to Amanda to talk about the 3 major elements that you need to collect or think about when capturing customer data along that journey. So over to you, Amanda.
Sure, thanks, Katrina. So I think just sort of touching on that, I'd like to just come back to the vision side of it. I think, you know, a lot of businesses, especially a lot of clients that we work with, when we actually ask them, what is your vision? It's typically a goal, not a vision. It's sort of like, what's that one thing that you're always aspiring to? And I'd actually love to use the guy's example of the accountant using the ebook. So, for example, if they created a vision that was to make accounting enjoyable, because none of us like accounting apart from probably accountants, then, you know, creating an ebook is something that, you know, would help to make it more enjoyable because they can understand it more and those sorts of things. So I think when we can actually firstly create that sort of brand vision of what you're looking to create, then it actually makes it a lot easier for us to understand the customer journey and what we're trying to achieve through that as well. Because customers still need guidance. So we can tell them and give them really simple solutions, but they also need the guidance in order to help them get there as well. So, so that's actually where I'd probably start. In order to collect that data, I think it comes back down to what the boys were saying, is create those digital elements that really make you accessible to that person. So an ebook, it's downloadable, you can get it straight away. We're a very instant community, so we want things instantly. So if it's too hard to get, then people just aren't going to engage. So yeah, I suppose that's what I would probably be starting with.
So giving something away to begin with without that initial commitment from the client first. So.
Well, yeah, ultimately just working out what that ultimate vision is to start with, you know, setting that down so it's not just a goal or numeric figure. You know, a lot of the times when we talk to people, we want to, you know, increase our market share by 5-10%, or we want to sell X amount of products in X amount of time. They're more goals and things that they can physically achieve, but there's no sort of purpose or feeling behind that. And that's ultimately what a vision is. So yeah, that's actually where we start with a lot of our clients on this sort of process.
Can we just add to that, Katrina?
Yes.
I think that's an amazing point, because the other thing is the thing that this really shows is it's so important to think about the reason why you started the business in the first place, and it's a very small percentage of time that it's about profit. It's about having a vision and delivering a product or service that doesn't exist, and a vision behind a brand and an identity and a mission and all of those things. And I think that the companies that have done best and sort of survived and sort of tackled this in the best way so far have a very deep vision that runs through everything they do. And they have that through their brand identity. And if they make less money, or if they don't grow as fast, or if they, you know, are struggling, I guess, in these times, that vision can really keep you warm at night and remind you, you know, you went into this with a purpose, and, you know, no matter what comes along, you can continue to drive towards that. And the world will change and all of us have to adapt. But yeah, it is so important to just go back to those roots of like, there is going to be an economic hit for most businesses through this, and probably pretty significant for a lot of them. But if that wasn't the reason we started this anyway, and for us, it's definitely like, it's always been an afterthought. And I'm sure everyone on this call is the same, is that you probably started this business to help people. You probably started this business, the business you're in, to, you know, try and provide a better service than the ones that were existing. I mean, that's still completely possible, and you're totally able to do that. The financials of it might just look a little different, but if you stick to those goals, I think it's definitely the way to get through all of this.
100%, definitely.
Actually, if I can just throw in my 5 cents worth there, I 1000% agree. If you look at businesses that are focused on their ideal target audience, you'll find that most of those businesses are really struggling nowadays, especially if their audience is no longer there.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with both Amanda and Joel, and that is you've got to bring it back to the centre, and the centre of it is, why did you start the business to begin with? And really, what is the solution that you're trying to bring to the market, that you're selling in the market today? Because 9 times out of 10, for most of us, we probably started the business out of pure necessity. I don't know how many people here are like me, where they're just unemployable. You know, so I had to unfortunately employ myself.
No one else on your scale, but
That's so true. But you know,
You're so wrong. You can work with anyone, Andrew. What's the matter with you?
yeah, as long as I can smack them with a 2x4. Just kidding.
True. No,
But
I agree there.
Yeah. So you know, we all decided to embark and to take on board this badge as a business owner, or you know, a service provider, or as I like to put it, a solutions provider. And I think this is where we're going to see a real big shift in the next 3 to 6 months with businesses, those that are in it for profit and those that are actually in it for purpose. And I think you're going to see a big wide divide, because those that are in it for purpose are probably the ones that are going to dig their toes in and actually make the changes necessary in their customer journey transactions, to pivot. And I know it's a word that's used a lot, to pivot and to actually continue to deliver their services in different ways.
Completely. And I think it's, you know, looking at the vision is probably the one thing that doesn't change all that often, but it's everything else. Like in this economic time, we're just pivoting, I'll use that word again, how we operate or how we deliver our services, but the vision is still the same. So, you know, it still keeps us on track and it still keeps us focused. So hopefully we don't fall into that free zone. It's just more of a, okay, well, this is still what we do. This is what we're still striving for. We just need to find out other ways or other methods of doing that, probably in today's world, in the digital form.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Andrea and Joel. I'm going to pass it over to Sheldon to talk a little bit about the challenges of moving from legacy systems, old software, big businesses that are trying to, or small businesses that have been operating for many years, and struggling to move away from software and systems that have been heavily integrated into their businesses. So over to you, Sheldon.
Yeah, thanks, Katrina. Hello, everybody. Yeah, area of, and I guess Katrina picked on me because I'm old and I've seen lots of technologies go by. And like Andrea, I became unemployable about the mid-90s because I knew more than most of the people around and nobody would pay me enough. So I set up my own business in around then. The situation we're in at the moment is really interesting. Business is not going to be done as usual ever again. Now, all of those people sitting on either in-house systems or systems that grew up from the Microsoft or the Google platforms as those platforms grew, and they've never really thought about how well they fit together. Businesses with multiple places where they store data, like they've got data in Dropbox, they've got data in Google Drive, they've got data in OneNote or SharePoint or wherever it is. And these businesses are going to struggle to bring that all together, particularly now in that their workers are not necessarily going to be in one place. And the difficulty we're going to have is, or they're going to have, is managing where all this stuff is. Talking about customer contact. Now, a CRM system is not just designed to track customers and how much shit you can throw at them. It's actually to look at what communications have taken place between your business, your staff, and the client, and why they might be pissed off that you haven't supplied them with something they asked for, or why they walked away from you because you haven't done something for them. All these remote people now are going to have to bring all that data into a CRM and manage it. And most businesses have not designed their data capture systems in CRMs particularly well. I remember my first project outside of working for a company was the Brisbane City Council's customer contact system. It was called CCALM at the time, and it's actually a rather brilliant CRM in that it does capture a great deal of information, and they knew exactly what they were developing. Now, they developed that in the late 90s, and it's grown up since then, and now it's a very sophisticated system. But most businesses don't collect the right amount of data. So sitting down and planning what your opportunities are in the future and what type of customers you're going to, I guess, look after, you need to define the CRM, the data in the CRM to manage that. It's also, we've got challenges with often older telecommunication systems where people use PABXs in their offices. If you don't have your staff in your office, what's the good of having 10 phones and nobody there to answer them? They're all going to be out remote on mobile devices or on IP-based phones. So whole
Sheldon,
different mechanism.
Just to jump in there quickly, I think Trevor's got something that he wanted to ask you.
Yeah, sorry, Trev, go.
Thanks, Sheldon. Sheldon, what's your thoughts, if we're coming back right at the beginning around the resistance to organisational change? One of the things that I've always seen for many years is this old school belief that you've got to pack 2,000 people into a building to make sure that they all show up at 9 o'clock and do their job. With this shift that's going on, what are your thoughts on companies embracing moving to more remote working type environments? Because I'm also sniffing around and looking at everything online, and I still see, 10 million jobs, call center work, and they're all head office. And I'm thinking, guys, this, yes, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, Sheldon.
Well, actually, interesting. I was listening to a TV article. I have my TV sitting on in my office so I can watch what goes past. And there was something popped up, some futurist was talking about, and he was saying that basically the future of centralised offices, I don't know what the CBD is going to do with all that office space in it, because the comments are that people aren't going to be there anymore, or certainly not in the volumes that they have been in the past. So like with Andrea's restaurants and all the cafes in the city that were supporting those, or be supported by those people, they're going to struggle as well. The big issue with remote work is getting people to firstly do the work, and I don't think that's a problem. Most employees have the right attitude, given the right incentives and the right interest in the organisation that they're working for. It's more the stress of the loneliness or the remoteness or the lack of contact they have with the central organisation that causes them a problem. I can see things like a change in our retail precincts. Now, the retail precincts, they're going to lose a lot of clients because most of those businesses will simply not restart. So retail precincts in the suburbs need to find a new opportunity to support their organisations. I can see them having co-working spaces being set up in those precincts, and that'll be your connection hub for your business. So businesses will either on a part-time basis or on a contract basis hire a desk in there, hire a hot desk in there for their staff to come in and have their weekly connection with the organisation. So that's one of the major changes that present an opportunity for the new way of working. So I don't think we're ever going to go back into offices. I mean, my wife was talking about a legal practice in the city. I mean, they were spending $350,000 a year on their office space. It just isn't going to happen in the future. Not now that they're all fine, they can sit and work at home and be just as productive as solicitors or legal advisors as they were when they had the big office.
Mm.
And they've got, if the community spaces are there, then you can have meetings, you can have a bit like we work in the city, except in the city it's not gonna run. Those sorts of models don't work. Having a big centralised operation in like the WeWorks of the place just aren't going to function. The small bespoke co-working spaces in the suburbs, in the retail precincts, brings people into those precincts. It gets the service providers in those precincts with lunches and food and coffee all functioning again, and just replaces the city, the central city.
I have a feeling one of the benefits that will come out of this is that smart, evolved leaders of industry will actually realise that adults are actually adults, and they actually will take care of themselves and probably work more productively. Because I think one of the greatest stresses with hating jobs is not necessarily the job, it's because they feel like they're slaves. And I think that one of the benefits that will come out of this is, if companies do embrace it, is, I mean, IBM's been doing it for years. I mean, they had remote work desks 30 years ago. And they seem to have done okay. I don't know how they're doing these days, but so
well,
I think
can jump in on that. My hubby used to work for IBM, and the culture is, yes, they're still allowing people to, well, before this obviously happened, they were still allowing people to work from home, but there were a few people that were taking advantage of it and not actually being online. So
yeah, of course.
that
and
is
that
the
comes
problem.
probably back to good management skills, and that'll probably be one of the opportunities that will come out of this, is improving leadership and management skills to work remotely, so that it'll be about performance and productivity, and you might still have to log on, but that, I'm thinking, yeah, could be one of the great opportunities that come out of
so
this.
one of the process functions that putting in place in my model is the measurement process. So if you're going to implement a remote working program ongoing, what are the measurement tools you put in place, not to I guess, not remunerate the staff, but to actually give them the incentive to do the right thing.
Yeah.
It's more like boost and encourage and reward them for doing what you'd like them to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Measuring those things and getting that feedback out there is going to be the challenge.
I think though, team, there's something that's fundamental though that hasn't, and we're probably just going a little bit off skewy here, that is you've actually got a workforce that is accustomed to leaving their house, jumping in public transport, traveling to a work environment, banging out there 5 to 8 to 10 to 12 hours, whatever it is, and then traveling back home and actually creating clear separations between home and work. You've now got a workforce that, and we don't hear about this, but we know it's going on. And Trevor, your colleague, the psychology practice, because I've got a client who's a psychology practice, and they're experiencing this where they're seeing a new kind of client coming through, and the new kind of client they're seeing are those that are accustomed to working like self-employed people, right? And this is,
everyone's becoming self-employed,
and this is for a lot of people, for you and I, for most of us here, that's probably something that we think nothing about. But if you think back to when you first started working from home, being self-employed, and the mind shift you had to go through to get to the point you're at today. And, you know, I see this for Di being a huge area of growth, and that is the re-educating of office workers to work and live at home in the one environment. Look, my partner, he's used to going to an office, right? We've had 3 weeks of him, 4 weeks of him working from home. And I can tell you, it's not been easy from a psychological perspective, a work performance perspective. He'll work his butt off, and I know he will. So rewarding is one of the elements, but we've got to ensure that if this is going to be the norm for our office workers who have spent the last 30 years going to an office, we are going to see some,
new disciplines.
Absolutely.
That's what I was suggesting, that the psychology part of the having local suburban co-working spaces where they can just go and stand by the coffee machine and chat with somebody, not necessarily from their own company, but just somebody, just makes that break happen for them.
Thanks, guys. We are coming up on closing time. I will hand over quickly. I think Di had something quick to add, and then we'll all say our goodbyes.
Oh, thanks, Katrina. I just wanted to touch on some of the points that the guys were just talking about then, and that's that a lot of people get their satisfaction intrinsically, and so external reward systems won't make any difference whether you're working in the office or working from home. And I want to go back to what a lot of people were talking about before about vision and purpose. If you have people working in your organisation and they truly believe in what you're trying to achieve, and they're aligned with your purpose, you don't have to motivate them. It's about what Sheldon was saying. It's about encouragement and support, and what I call compassionate leadership. And what a lot of people are doing at the moment, they're so used to controlling their staff so tightly that now that they're sort of out of sight, they're micromanaging and they're checking up on them every 5 minutes and demanding, responses, instead of allowing their staff, to take some time to find their new normal in all of this.
I think it comes down to accountability and finding the right accountability system that can at least show you that they are doing what they need to, without having to have that spotlight or micromanager on them. So thanks, Di. Thank you, everyone. It's been an incredible session. I believe we had someone duck out right on 2:30. I think she might have had a meeting. So just again, well mentioned that we are trying to keep to our schedule of 1:30 to 2:30. So forgive me if I've cut anyone short if they wanted to add anything. There's always next week, so jump in then. I just wanted to remind you all that, for our attendees or anyone viewing this video from Facebook, to make sure that you like the Facebook pages of all of our speakers that are here today, to be able to be kept up to date with the next Toolkit events as they come up each Wednesday at 1:30. And it's always free to join in, and there's a lot of juicy insight and expertise that you can take advantage of. And don't forget that the only way you can present questions to the group is to register and jump in the session. So I'm Katrina from Ranking Australia. You can find us on Facebook, online on the website, or just Google. So I'll pass it over to Trevor, Andrea, Joel, Amanda, Sheldon, and Di in that order. Please share with everyone how they can find you. And
I do not remember that order.
Trevor?
All of us.
Trevor first.
Oh, thanks, Katrina, and thanks, everyone. I've really enjoyed being on here today, and it's actually definitely helped lift my motivation and helped me gain some new perspective too. So thank you. And I just wanted to say, really easy, if anyone wants to reach out, I'm on Facebook, Trevor Russell, and or shoot me an email, trevor@resultsacademy.com.au, and happy to support you in any way that I can in this time of change and evolution and even a bit of uncertainty. So thank you, Katrina.
Over to you, Andrea. Thanks, Trevor.
Thanks, everyone, and thanks particularly to Katrina for organising the opportunity for all of us to come together. You can find me at www.yourmarketingmachines, with an s.com.au. Email is andrea@yourmarketingmachines with an s.com.au. Feel free to come and book an obligation conversation with me, and let's chat about staying alive and thriving beyond coronavirus.
Thanks, Andrea. Over to you, Joel. I think that was out of the order, but it's all good.
Look, if you want to find out anything about OnCall or what we do, I'd suggest speaking to Andrea Anderson or Katrina from this call. Both incredible resellers of the OnCall platform. I don't think you can always come to us with questions directly, but we've seen them do amazing things for people this last year as far as just creating incredible online experiences for people. Always happy to chat to anyone who wants to, and you can check us out at oncord.com. But really, Katrina and Andrea are the ones, the reseller partners that in this group that we definitely recommend if you need to improve your online presence. They are fantastic at it, and we can't endorse them more.
Thanks, Joel. Just to let you know, Andrea is amazing when it comes to sales and marketing and business structure in that space. My space is SEO, AdWords, coming at it from your web presence. So over to Di to say yours.
Okay, thanks, Katrina. Yeah, this has been absolutely fabulous. Thanks for organising it, Katrina. So you can find me on Facebook under Wildfire Business Consulting. And I'm very happy for anyone to have just a brief chat over the phone or jump onto Zoom, of course, not Skype anymore, that's for sure. And how I can help you with your financial strategy so you can take stock, survive and thrive. Thank you. See ya.
Beautiful. Thanks, Di. Over to you, Amanda.
Yeah, like everyone said, thanks, Katrina. It's been a great session. I've really taken a lot from it as well. If anyone wants to find me, they can search me on Facebook, just Amanda Lowry Brand Strategist, or they can email me at a.larry@mflgroup.com.au. We're actually doing free brand audits at the moment to really help people, discover what needs work on their brand. So if they are in that freeze mode and they're overwhelmed, they can be a really great process. So if anyone's interested, they can definitely reach out.
Thanks, Amanda. I love the cross promotion here. Very good, guys. Sheldon, off to you.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Yes, again, Katrina, thank you for organising this. And in fact, I guess I've been working by myself now for over 15 years, so I'm kind of find this to be a bit ordinary, but it is really good to sit and chat with other people and get an insight into what they're doing and what's going on. So it's certainly that psychology, relaxation, relief that you get when you talk to other people. You can contact me. I'm a technology coach and consultant. I operate on both LinkedIn under Sheldon Morey and on Facebook. My website is Sheldon Morey Consulting, sheldonmorey.com.au, and you can email me at sheldon@sheldonmorey.com.au. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheldon. Just a really big thank you to everyone who took their time out to join us today. That includes the attendees and all of you experts who have joined us today. I can't thank you enough, but I shouldn't be surprised because everyone here today who is sharing their expertise, their insight and advice, it is always, and this is prior to the health crisis, they've always been out in the forefront of helping and supporting small business. You'll remember Trevor from working with the Small Business Expos quite prominently. Andrea, who has been including myself, Sheldon and Amanda as one of the ASBAS advisors. We've all been ASBAS advisors, which is the digital support sessions and workshops and webinars and for small business. So it's our passion. We live to support small business and we love to work with each other. So thank you, guys. Please do reach out to us and don't forget to like our Facebook pages to stay up to date. Thanks, guys.
See ya.